I think I was a better dad than a human being. I was the best dad than a human being. Better than anything.
Right.
I encouraged them. When they fell, I picked them up. I didn't tell them something like this, you could be the president. I'm not stupid, because, you're going to have the right connection and everything else, but you can do anything you put your mind to.
Yeah.
Now, if president is the way, then that means you're going to have to start meeting a whole lot of people who can put you in the right places.
Yeah.
But we don't have those connections right now.
No. So as a family, maybe your kids.
Yeah, maybe the next one.
Yeah.
But I did tell them that, it all starts off with believing. You got to believe in yourself. You got to be able to stand alone. I used to always tell them all the time. I said, I went to prison because I needed somebody else to accept me. I said, you need to be a standalone person.
And welcome back to Now We're Dads. Today I am joined by father of two, owner of local bar, Benny's Sports Bar. For those who may know, please give it up for Joe.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you
Introduce
for
yourself.
having me, man.
Yeah.
My name is Joe. I don't describe myself as the owner of Benny's, but I describe myself as a dad of two. On this podcast, first podcast I've ever been on, and I really appreciate you having me.
Awesome.
More than anything, I wanted to be a father. And why did I want to be a father? Probably for some of the same reasons other people have. And that was because I didn't have a father. And when I say I didn't have a father, I had a dude who took oss when I was very young. I didn't know.
How old were you?
That's interesting. I always thought it was 10 months, and then my mom told me I was 5 years old. So
Wow.
So,
because that's old enough to have memories.
Yes.
4 or 5.
Dude, I have no
memories. Wow.
Okay. I have no memories. Very, very, very little memories of when I was very young. In some situations, I had very little memory of when I was a teenager.
Wow.
I just, lived a pretty interesting life.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be a dad more than anything, dude.
Okay.
And obviously, when I became a dad, I was excited.
Right.
His mom wasn't.
So how much support did you have growing up? So let me first ask, how old are you now?
I'm 53.
53.
Dude, I'm 53.
That's a great age.
Hey, man,
I would say the 50s are the prime of your life.
Dude, I don't know if 50 is the prime of your life, man, but all I know is I'm 53, man. I never knew I would make it past 50.
Okay.
I never knew I would make it past 20.
Okay, so you've had kids, obviously, long ago.
Yeah.
When you first became a dad, how much support was in your life?
This is where it's going to be unfair. If anyone hears anything like what I'm saying, they're going to probably say, oh, you were always fortunate. You were always blessed with a spoon. No, I was never blessed with a spoon. We had food insecurity. We had life insecurity. There was no security there.
Right.
But we grew up with love. And that's what I'm appreciative that even being broke, having the best lessons in life, but getting the worst beatdowns you could ever imagine when you do something crazy because your mom is tired working, 18-hour jobs. Just doing whatever she can.
Multiple jobs.
Because dad pulled off.
That's right.
To use that example again. So me growing up, what do you think? I'm like, wait a minute, mom is working all this because there's no dad. So after a while, I started feeling like, well, if I was a dad, you get that teenage year, if I had kids, but everyone always says,
I wouldn't repeat the mistake.
Yes! Or I would do this.
Yep.
Because, you wanted someone to go to a game that you played in. I don't recall playing in games, but you get the concept. I would go to a bit. Well, let me take that back. I remember playing in softball games when I was a kid, but I saw dads out there. What did I see? My mom. And sometimes she couldn't even come. So
she's busy working.
Dude, I was there alone, but I had a team.
Right.
And a bunch of my friends made me feel like, I wasn't alone because some of them had no one there with them. So that's a crappy feeling. You know what I'm saying? That's a crappy feeling. Well, when you're young.
So I think this shows that regardless of your circumstances, whether you had money growing up or not, or I think most importantly, as long as you got someone in your life who can give you valuable lessons.
Dude, support, man. Support, dude. And a lot of times people think it's always monetary support, and it isn't. It's emotional support. It's physical support. Just mental support. Right. Imagine this. You're broke, right? You guys have no money, right? But you don't realize that as a kid because somehow there's always food. The food is not what you want. You got government cheese. You got Wonder Hostess box that was right there in West 25th. I think it's a cell phone store now, but they used to sell stale bread, and we used to get 4 loaves for $1.
Wow.
Wonder Hostess, people used to get, it's basically day-old bakery. A lot of people call it stale, but we just say it's day-old. That's really what it was.
Okay.
They used to go and collect it from the stores, take it back to that one location right there in West 25th and Clark. We used to go there and find little ho-hos and everything else, but back in the days when I went to Lincoln Junior, Lincoln Junior High School, but we were broke, man. We learned over the years, man, but we had family, dude. That was stronger now than back then than it is now. Back then, I don't know if anyone has recollections of this or from their lives, but they used to have cookouts, pig roasts, families would get together.
Yeah.
Uncles, aunts, cousins, everyone is there. When was the last time you had?
They still do a lot of parties.
And that's cool then. That's cool. Because they get together.
Yes.
Yes.
And so I have multiple families that I can pull from. One of my stepdad's side of the family, where very close with a lot of them, and also my mom's side of the family, where we holidays still get together. I was just over there kicking it with them a couple weeks ago. Me and my cousins are planning trips together, a birthday together next week.
That's cool. Are you guys about the same age?
Yeah, I have about 15, 20 cousins that are within a 5-year age gap with me. Yeah. I have a lot of us. And my great-grandmother, my grandmother, and my aunt have all done a phenomenal job at trying to keep a lot of us together. And, family, it's always tough keeping a lot of family members together. There's always drama, problems, and stuff. But I would say more than most, I feel like we're pretty lucky that we do a very good job at still sticking together. And so even to this day, we still have family get-togethers that are like 20, 30 people strong.
That's cool.
On a consistent basis, at least once a year, at least.
We couldn't even do that. I haven't seen it done. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I'm not helping. I'm not organizing anything.
Yeah, that's what it takes. It really does
someone.
take someone to pull together, and multiple people in my family have taken on that.
I was going to say, you said your mom, right?
My mom she shows up.
Okay. I always assume it's a woman who takes on that role.
Yeah, it is. My aunt's one of the biggest ones. But not just her. I have a cousin, and he does Christmas at his house.
That's cool.
Yep, every year Christmas. And so multiple people still put it on for us. So I hope that when I get older, I want to be one of those guys who actually let me pick a holiday. Yeah. This is where we do my house this holiday. Yes. And if all of us can do like one holiday a year, then we'll stay strong through generations.
That's true, man. That's true. I say there's nothing stronger than your support group. Yeah. So
you had the support group of people, not the money. I was lucky, but you had the people.
Man, I had the people. My mom, my sister, my aunts. When they were around, obviously, some of them are passed. I shouldn't say obviously, but some people have passed since then. Yes, man, I had everyone there. Meaning in terms of a support group.
So when you first had your son,
yes.
Right. How old were you?
In 2001, my son was born. He was born in April of 2001. Okay. But his mom got pregnant, and I'm not sure, June, July, August, somewhere in there. Okay. That was a strange situation because I was excited when I got the news. She wasn't,
Wow. Okay.
She wanted to be a thespian. She wanted to be an actress, actor, show stage. She wanted to pursue Broadway. And she said after she found out she was pregnant, she called me on a Sunday. Dude, it was crazy, man. I was playing softball. I was at Mohican Park, there in 140th and Trisket. And I got that call. And we had broken up the day before.
Wow.
Oh, dude, man, listen, it didn't matter. She told me, she said she's pregnant. I was like, I'm going to be a father. Dude, I didn't care. Yeah. I didn't care. I'm like, man, listen. Man,
for sure.
I got it was crazy. It didn't matter, man. I didn't know what I was going to have. It could have had a midget. It didn't matter. I was like, I'm going to be a dad. You know what I'm saying? It's like one of those things. Like, I'm going to be a dad, man.
Yeah. So excited. Okay. Yeah. So then how'd the conversation go after? You guys broke up? You're excited. How was she?
Okay. We broke up that Saturday night. The next day, she called me. I'm playing softball. I'm having fun. She told me she was pregnant. I don't even remember whatever followed up after that, but I guess she wanted to get back together. She said, I'm pregnant, so I guess we got to keep on, moving on together. Okay. Is that the reason? I don't know. But for sure. I just know I was excited. Okay. And then April, the following year, 2001, he was born. He looked like a cone head. Dude. Oh, man, I was scared. I told my mom, I said, is he going to stay looking like that? Because they use this device. You got to pull the baby out. They suck his head out. And I was like, man, that dude looked like Conehead from Saturday Night Live. Yeah. Back in the 70s, my mom said, he's not going to look like that. Yeah. Stop acting silly, Yeah. But she would really say, stop being bruto or tupido, but I just don't want to be out there thinking like, oh, it's mom dog or something. That's what Puerto Rican moms do.
That's how it is, yeah, I get it.
That's how they talk. That's how they say it.
For sure. Okay, so then he comes out. You guys get back together.
Yeah, we got back together. We ended up getting married. And I'm not going to lie, I never wanted to get married. Never. Okay. All I saw was marriages end in divorces, so I never wanted to get married. But I felt the pressure.
That was your experiences growing up. Yeah.
Dude, everyone I saw that got married were divorced. And that's not saying people got divorced all the time. I'm just saying my surroundings, the people that I was around, of course, lower income, whatever you want to call it. Let's just say the lowest income. But no one got married. So she told me, she goes, I don't want to be the only person in my family that has a child at wedlock. She goes, I want to get married. I said, I don't believe in it. She says, please, my family is going to look at me in a really bad way. Whatever it may be. We got married 3 weeks before Devin was born.
Okay.
Yeah, we got married like March,
Sure.
the end of March. I don't know if it was 30th, 31st, but the end of March.
Okay.
He was born in the middle of April.
Okay.
So yeah, she was big, but we did a unique wedding because I had a Buddhist mentor. I met a Buddhist mentor when I was away for a while. His name was Murray Singer. Murray Singer, he used to go to where I was located, and he would give people who were interested in learning about Nichiren Daishonin Buddhism. He had the ability to marry people in the state of Ohio. And when he found out I was going to get married, he said he'd like to officiate it. So he officiated it. So there was a connection there.
Right.
Interestingly enough, we got divorced in 2006 officially. The divorce started in 2005, but in 2006, right when we were getting divorced, my mentor, Murray Singer, died. When we got married, he was alive, and when we got divorced, he died. I would never say he lived because we were married,
Right.
but to me, I just found it was very strange that...
Strange time in your life.
Strange time in my life.
Okay.
Yes.
So were both your kids from the same? Okay.
Yeah, from my wife at that time.
So now splitting up, how did that go? Continue parenting, because you said he was born in 2001. You're splitting up in 2006.
Dude, no. We split up before then.
Okay.
We got together in 2000. He was born in 2001. We split up in 2000. We got together because she found out she was pregnant with him,
right?
Or didn't know it was him. After he was born, we got into another.
Okay, so just officially divorced in 2006.
Officially divorced.
They were still young. How was
2 and 4?
2 and 4. So how was that parenting now after you guys have split up?
Oh man. Okay, this is interesting to say that because my fear was always that you can't be a parent unless you're in the same household with your spouse raising your children. I never realized. Because I didn't have the experience once again. My mom weren't together with my dad. She wasn't together with my dad.
And he was gone.
Or excuse me, I hate to say dad because that's somebody who earns that right. But my father.
For sure, I get you. So he was gone.
He's gone. So
you didn't understand that, right?
Didn't understand this. So I always assumed in order to be in a family, you have to.
So when you guys were splitting up, how was your?
Oh, I wanted to die, dude.
Okay.
I wanted to die because I thought that. I said, what if they take my kids from me? You know, I always see experiences where men, they're the last in the totem pole in terms of being chosen.
Right.
But there was a conversation we had, my ex-wife and I, and it was to agree to a shared custody. And it was one of those life and death conversations.
Okay. It was a relatively smooth process then in terms of children, not like your relationship.
Man, it was awesome, dude.
Okay.
She got him for 1 week, I got him for 1 week. When they were with me, I was 100% responsible for everything. When she had them. But in the beginning, we got along, dude. We talked. We were friendly.
Cool.
It was friendly as heck.
Awesome.
There would be times that we would have parties at my house because they were with me that weekend. Let's just pretend on his birthday he's with me. Yeah. We would invite her over. I would say hi to her. Everything was cool. Yeah. But the woman I was with, jealous. She destroyed the relationship, at least the friendly relationship. She destroyed it. Yeah. So some women have that insecurity.
Of course. And not just women. I know there's some men who also have that insecurity.
You're right.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. You guys were doing great for a while. Because I'll be honest, that's how me and my daughter's mom are. You know, and
right now you guys are?
Yes.
Dude, that's the best way to be.
It took some time. You know, there was fresh off of a breakup. It was tough for a while to kind of get over a lot of things. We both held a resentment for different things about the relationship, you know. But we have since overcome a lot of that. And now, like, no issues between us. Truthfully, I can say that she is still one of my best friends. And I can open up to her about things. I've met her new boyfriend. Totally. No problem at all.
Yeah, you want to make sure you know the person around your daughter.
Exactly. Totally cool. Great guy.
Yeah.
No problem at all, you know. And
you're lucky there.
We put a lot of stuff aside. Her and my mom, best friends.
Dude.
They put all their stuff aside because all that matters is my daughter
your
now.
Baby, yes.
You know, my mom's granddaughter, her daughter. Like, it's just all... We put all that aside and we're just focused on the growth of one person.
All right. I know you guys are smart. You guys are very, very smart, especially to be friendly. And why? Who benefits? Your baby. Yes. Your baby sees two parents who gave birth to her love each other. Not you guys are loving each other, but we
love each other just in a different way.
Yeah. They don't see like, oh, mom and dad hate each other because of me. I was the last born. That's what I thought, dude. I was the last born. So it was my brother Benny, my sister Anna, and then me. Every kid goes through that, of course, bro.
It takes time to kind of grow out of that. Yes, to learn, like, oh, it wasn't my fault. They had their own things.
I'll give you an example. This is something I had to grow out of, but I grew out of it a lot quicker than that stuff.
Right.
My brother committed suicide in 1983. When he committed suicide, what do you think I thought? It was me. I wasn't there to talk to him. I didn't forgive him. I didn't do this. It was one of those things. I think even my mom, I know she takes it on her social. I didn't do this. Everyone says I didn't. You know what I realized shortly after that? He made that decision, not me. Yeah. I'm not happy he made a decision, but it's not my fault. Yeah. It's not my fault. Like when I do something, is that my mom's fault? No. She raised me with better values, you know what I'm saying? And it's supposed to be my responsibility to...
At a certain age, yeah. It's
on you. So he pulled the gun on himself. He couldn't deal with whatever he was dealing with. It was the worst memory of my life.
Do you know how long it took to actually kind of get over something like that?
Dude, you're never over it.
Fair.
You're never. But 2 to 5 years. 2 to 5 years.
So it was for you?
Yeah. I think you're old enough now to realize life happens. Life happens, man. Yeah. Sometimes it happens to us, sometimes it happens for us, and sometimes against us. But who's the one who's always judging? We're the ones always judging. Watch this. If that glass bottle fell and hit your head or cracked your head open, you would be like, shit, I'm in pain. It's the worst thing that happened to me. Now pretend you go to the hospital and the doctor says, thank you for coming in right now. Do you realize you have let's just pretend a medical term that I don't know, you have X. Yeah. And if you wouldn't have come in right now, you would have 2 days to live. So what is every situation that happens? Is it good or bad? Or do you take time to decide if it's good or bad? That means you're the one always judging.
You can't know you can't know in the moment. You have to.
But you always are going to want. Today you say it's good, right? Yeah. Tomorrow you say it's bad. So what was it? What was it? Was it ever anything? Yeah. So if it's fake, if everything really is fake and it's all based on what you judge it, why don't you judge it positively? If it hit you in the head, say thank you for not killing me. How about that? How about seeing the worst alternative and saying thank you for not being that?
Sure.
And you'll be happier. You'll be happier, man. That's something I learned from Buddhism.
Yeah. All right. So I want to take it back a little bit. A while ago, right? Sure. Something happened in your life where that kind of shaped the man you are today. Yeah. You want to talk about it?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Where do you want to start then?
Everyone has their past. Everyone has a history. Everyone has a story. My story is just like everyone else. Grew up lower income. We came from Brooklyn, New York. We didn't have very much. My sweetheart, she was in the same situation. We both grew up. She's from Jersey, I'm from New York. When we came here really young, they grew up with food insecurity. So she told me a story they used to play called Spaghetti Surprise. And that was whatever they could put inside the spaghetti, that's what it became. So it's funny how you make up jokes about how you're going to eat. Spaghetti surprise. Think about it. My sister is getting fried green tomatoes and she's putting it in flour and frying it up. Dude, when you're
just to survive, right?
Just to survive.
Okay, so that's your background.
Yeah,
surviving.
Because you have no dad, in my opinion. You have no dad. You have a mom who's out there just taking care of 3 kids, Benny and me. And she has a lot of pride. So she is not going to. She's not going to ask anyone for anything. Yeah, my father's gone, so she's going to do it on her own. Sure. So she's working multiple jobs. We grew up latchkey kids. You're home by yourself. And you see your mom every once in a while. Why? Because she's covering multiple shifts. And so that was one thing that was real strong. And because of that, I wanted to be a dad. I wanted to be a dad real bad, man. I was like, that was one of the coolest things to do. But I messed up, and I was hanging around with some wrong people. Well, excuse me, I can't say wrong. I was hanging around with some people who didn't help me make good decisions, Sure. And because I had a tendency to need another person to accept me when I was a teenager, I was doing what they were doing. And it was gangs. And as a result of being a gang, I ended up getting involved in a crime that went to prison for 10 years. Right. And it was crazy, Yeah. Somebody died. And there's no way around it. It's just crazy. Yeah. So when I was in there, that's when my brother committed suicide, 1993.
So I was already in there. So that's what you're saying, where you didn't, one more call, you couldn't have been able to help.
Yeah.
And so because of the life you went through and where you're at now, okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to piece it all together.
Yes. And once again, everyone always blames themselves. Everyone always says, it could have been me, it could have been this, it could have been that. And that was my brother. My brother was 2 years older than me. And like I said, Benny and me were all 1 year apart. Right. So that's why when I wanted to be a dad, at first I was thinking, I'm going to name my son Benny. I said, I'm not going to be dad. That's because as much as I love my brother was crazy. I don't care what anyone says. When someone dies, they only tell you the good parts. My brother used to choke me. Come on, man. He used to beat the crap out of me. But when you pass, you forget all those things. I remember I was at the theater and a bunch of people were looking at me. He says, don't look at my brother. And, you remember stuff like he protected you. You remember when he had the Snickers that, let's be real, he stole it. We didn't have any money. He went to the store and he stole tuna fish. He stole whatever. It didn't matter what it was. I remember us stealing steakums. I remember us stealing steakums. And I was scared too. I was the watch out.
Yeah.
He used to wear a Brentwood jacket. He did steakums and we couldn't do eggs because they were cracking his jacket. But the point is, we bro.
Whatever you can, just to get by. But you look fondly on those memories.
I look fondly on those memories. Even though I say, everyone can always remember only the good. I remember the bad too. My brother, he was not a good person to everyone. He was not. There were a lot of people who were scared of him. He was a fighter. He was a big guy, 260 plus pounds. Right. And here I was the skinny one. I'm the one that they said your mom must have had him from the mailman because I'm small.
Yeah, I see it.
I'm small, bro.
I get you.
So I'm like, damn,
different genes. Something going on.
Everybody's telling me, yo, you look Arabic. I'm like, come on, bro. I'm Puerto Rican, man. One dude yesterday, I was at Aldi's. Dude started speaking to me in Arabic. I love languages, man. But I felt mad that I didn't know what he was saying. I just said, yo, bro, I'm Puerto Rican.
Yeah. Sorry.
He was like, oh, Habibi, man, everything's good. And I was like, damn, I wish I knew what he said.
Okay, so this is how you're growing up, and how long were you in prison for then? 10 years, right? 10 years, yeah. So what ages again?
17 through 27.
Okay. So then you get out now, and
I came home in 1999.
Yeah. And you didn't have your kids when you were... You had them after.
They had them after. Yeah. I went home 17, went in at 17, came home at 27, had no children. So, let me see here. I think it was 6 months after I was home, March. I was working at a company teaching computers. Because when I was away, by the way, I always use the word, when I was younger, when I first came home, I was real defensive about letting anyone know about my past. Because I always assumed the power that someone has over you is based on whatever you allow them. And I thought, someone has an opportunity to give me a job or not give me a job based on me having a felony. They're not going to look favorably on that. So I was real hesitant of telling anyone. But over time, you think I care? I'm 53 years old now. So if anyone knew that I was in prison, I wasn't in prison for doing anything bad to kids or old people. I was a gangbanger. And there were other people, we weren't making any money out of it. We were just stupid kids, just fighting. That's all fighting turned into guns, and then guns turned into a lost life. Yeah. It wasn't like someone started off saying, I'm a killer. But these people today, I don't know about them. They're crazy. I think they're killers today. But, so 10 years later, I'm happily home.
Right. New man.
Straight new man, yeah. I remember I was excited when I found out. I met her, Sarah, in March, and then...
So like shortly after getting out, you met her?
Yeah, well, 6 months.
6 months after getting out, you met her?
Yeah, I met her. I was working at a company called New Horizons Computer Learning Center. New Horizons Computer Learning Center. Okay. I was teaching computers. And I think you had mentioned earlier regarding your capability of speaking in public and everything else. Yeah. Well, when I was in college, remember I told you that what I typically say, I don't say where I was, I typically say, when I was in college.
Yeah. Get it? Because you got your degree when you were in.
Yeah, I got my bachelor's degree in there. People hated that, but I went to 2 universities in there. That was because in one prison, it was Allen Correctional Institution. When I was in Allen Correctional, they had the University of Finley would come in there and give classes for people who wanted to attain their associate's degree.
Right, better themselves. Huh? Better themselves.
Oh, yes. Okay. But when I went to Grafton because my brother committed suicide when I was in Allen, and I got a hardship transfer because it was more difficult for my family to come visit me. Okay. So I was able to get the transfer in 94, I believe it was. He committed suicide in 93. In 94, I was in Grafton, closer to home, right there, Lorraine. But they had Ashland University in there. So people wanted to take courses. It wasn't limited to just associates. It was also your bachelor's. Okay. So I went all the way through. I wanted to get my bachelor's degree. And I got an undergraduate degree in psychology. I always assumed that if you have an education, and by the way, this wasn't that quick. Don't assume it was quick. When I first went in, I knew what my issue was. My issue was I was always following people. I knew I could fight. I was a fighter. Yeah. But I only fought because you thought, wow, he's... blah, 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 blah. Whatever your acceptance is, whatever your affirmations that I needed, to make me do something I didn't want to do. I didn't want to hurt people, and I didn't want to be hurt. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to exist. But because I knew what my weaknesses were, that's when I went in there. I said, man, hell no. And because what the hell?
So this is when you start studying psychology.
Well, when I was in there, I was talking to older people. I was like, yo, dude, what would you do if you were me? And this is what I would tell you. I would tell everyone that I communicate with that's younger than me, when we're talking any type of sage, wisdom, experience, anything that I can impart on you, I would always tell you, ask someone older, not 25 to 35. I'm saying ask someone who's 75, 80. Mm-hmm. Watch their eyes light up when you ask them, what would you do if you were my age?
Right.
Their eyes are going to light up with a few things. Number one, someone cares enough to ask them their opinion. Number two, regret. The constant theme that I heard was education and being a father. Those two things I heard from every person I would ask. And think about it. I'm in college, prison. There's thousands of people there you can ask. I didn't talk to everyone, but you get the concept, because it was clicked up. People clicked up. It was Puerto Ricans and Puerto Ricans.
You're asking them, and a lot of them are saying that they wish they could have actually gone and got some education.
Yes.
And saying that they could have been more in their kids'
lives. In their kids' lives. Dude, those are the two common themes. And if you think I'm exaggerating, man, I'm telling you, I swear this on the existence that I have right now. So what do you think the two things I thought of when I was in there? Whenever I'm going to be a dad, I'm going to be the best dad. Because what were their regrets constantly?
Yeah.
They wish they were involved.
You didn't want to have their same regrets.
Yes. What was the second regret? That they would have taken advantage of the education.
Which you had the opportunity. 10 years.
In prison. They're offering education.
You had nothing else to do.
Dude, so I played softball. I lifted weights. Man, I did everything to keep myself busy. I was reading all the time. Then I had a friend who became a mentor. His name was Donnie Morrow. Donnie Morrow got me involved in computers, and that's where I earned my wealth when I came home, from computers. Okay. It was crazy because that dude, he stays in my life to this day, man. But I remember when I graduated from Ash University, it was 1996, and I was the last class that was allowed to attend university.
Wow.
Because in Ohio, they were making a big stink about people in prison who are able to get a bachelor's degree. This is what I heard.
For free too, right?
For free. But this is what a lot of people don't realize. If you go to prison, this is how I look at life. If you go to prison for something, and the likelihood that you would return is reduced 90% if you were to become educated. And the word rehabilitation, recidivism, / that's not real. If they really wanted to rehabilitate you, they wouldn't want you to recidivate. If they wouldn't want you to recidivate, what can they do to lower it? Provide you education. Yeah. If they made it mandatory that you had education, the likelihood is you would learn, the likelihood would diminish, that you would return because you would learn how to behave properly. You would learn your mistakes. You would learn the bad decisions you make. So they offer education.
And also learn how to escape what you were already there for. Because most people are there not because they're terrible people, but because of their circumstances.
Yes, some people make decisions. Yes. Well, you already have the dope boys. You have the dope boys. You have the killers. You have the rapists. You have all these different people, right? But here, this is what's interesting to me. You have some people. It doesn't matter what your crime is. You have some people who say, I'm going to get better, and they'll either pursue education or they'll start groups up. I was involved in a few groups. The reason I am where I am, like I said, once again, is because some of the groups that I was involved in there. Right. There was this dude, Germany, black dude, real cool, man. But he used to talk about real estate. And I learned...
While he was in there, he was talking about real estate.
Dude, he was talking about... He was in prison. I'm assuming financial crimes, real estate fraud, whatever.
Oh, okay.
But you don't want to do what he did to get there, but you want to pay attention to what made him successful. Okay. And that was tinkering in real estate.
Okay. So Germany's putting you on game.
So again, there's a dude, like I said, there's a guy in there named Germany. Really cool dude. By the way, man, he is he's out here doing really well from understand. Last time I talked to him a few years ago. Okay. But there's a group of people. There's just a group of people in general who just were instrumental in my life. Germany, of course, teaching about real estate, and then of course other people talking about real estate, and you pick up pieces here, you pick up the pieces there.
So you took this circumstance in your life, and it sounded like you had everything you needed to actually make that difference. You had mentors.
Yes.
The ability to educate yourself.
Well, I allowed myself to get mentors. See, if you have someone who's willing to teach you, but you're not willing to let them...
You have to learn. Yeah, you have to be ready to help yourself.
Dude, you have to be. So who can really teach you? Someone older than you. So Donnie Morrow was my mentor in terms of computers. 1996, when I graduated from Ash University, I got my bachelor's degree. He had said, hey, young blood, I've been waiting for you to finish. And I said, what are you talking about, man? He goes, I want you to work in this computer lab. I think you'd be real good with the computers.
Okay.
It was funny, bro. It's like this old 1970s, you know. He got that voice, yo, young blood. You know, it was funny. He used to always make me laugh, man.
Yeah.
But he's still alive too, man. I talk to him, you know, here and there. But he said, I want to bring you to the computer lab. So I went to the computer lab, and there was another guy in there named Aaron Fowler. Those two, Donnie Morrow and Aaron Fowler, ran it. And there was a NetWare. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this term, NetWare, Novell NetWare.
No.
It's a type of server.
Okay.
Today you'll hear about Microsoft Server. Always Microsoft Server, Microsoft Server.
You have
Hear about Linux
AWS,
Server.
which is like
What's that?
AWS, which is like Amazon server.
Well, yeah, they're doing Amazon Web Services. I'm talking about 1990s.
Yeah.
There were two main servers. One would be called NT 3.5 or NT 4.0. Well,
Sure.
NT 4.0 wasn't out yet, but you get the concept.
Sure, that's what you're...
Yeah, and there was Novell NetWare. So he started teaching me about Novell NetWare, command line. I started learning about command prompts, started learning about how to use, in general, a computer, how to get around a computer. Troubleshooting, networking, using UNC, Universal Naming Convention Pass, to connect to computers, to connect to printers. And it was wicked cool, bro, because it was something that I didn't think I could do. You know, I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at computers like this. I don't know what that is. But I remember when I was out here, before I went in there, I went to Max Hayes and I was working with a computer. You had to put a floppy disk in there. And I was like, oh, this is too much. I ain't never going to learn this. I feel bad to say it, but I thought this is for white people. You know, only they can afford these things, you know?
Right. Okay.
But yeah, to go to it is totally cool, bro. I promise you.
Do you want a water or a beer or something?
Sure. No, I don't drink alcohol, but I'll take water. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, bro. And it's totally cool, man. Honestly, I'm not bullshitting you, man. I'm not bullshitting you. Yo, this is how I look at you know, a cool dog like that.
Yeah.
I look at him like a kid. He just wants to play.
He is super cool.
So I get him. Come on, bro. I get it. I want to play, and I'm 53. My wife always laughs. I call her my wife, by the way. We're not married. We don't believe in marriage.
Okay.
She got divorced, long marriage. I did never believe in marriage. I believe if you really care for someone, you could be there without that paper. And I think that paper complicates things.
When you were in college.
Yeah.
Yep. And you had all these mentors, had all these chances to better yourself.
Yeah.
You get out, and what was the first steps you start taking now? Because you said that's where you're actually able to make yourself, or make your wealth was into computers.
Correct.
Okay, so walk me through how did that go?
All right, 1999, came home. Probably remember me mentioning a name, Murray Singer.
Yeah.
My Buddhist mentor.
Yeah.
He was working for a company named Management Recruiters International, MRI. Okay. And he knew I was coming home. I needed a job. So he talked to his boss, and his boss said, yeah, we'll give him a job, and we'll pay him $1,000 a month.
For talking about you?
Yeah, me. $1,000 a month.
Okay.
No.
Was that a lot back then?
Oh, no, I want you to hear this. Too.
Okay.
I want you to hear this. $1,000 a month. A $500 paycheck on the 1st and a $500 paycheck on the 15th. Okay. That's it. Just 2 times. I was excited. I said, what? I'm going to make $12,000 a year.
Okay.
You know why? In prison, you get $20 a month. So when you compare $20 a month to $12,000 a year,
right?
You're like, well, 20 times 12 is $240. I'm about to make $12,000.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm not thinking that they pay for everything while I'm there. All the food, clothing, shelter, everything. I'm not thinking any of that.
Okay.
I'm not thinking any of those things.
Yeah, for sure. I got bills now.
I was like, what?
Taxes too?
Man. So I would get a check. There's $333. That's what I had to survive on. The 15th, the 1st and the 15th, $330 after they took out their 1/3. I was laughing.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, man. But you know why I made it? What? My mom and my sister, once again, man. I'm telling you, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here, man. I don't know how. They gave me a place to stay. My sister, she purchased a home just so that I didn't have to come back to the neighborhood in Parma. Okay. So when I came home in 1999, I was out in Parma. My mom and my sister just helped me with everything. They helped me get clothes, whatever it is. I got the job that I was telling you about at Management Recruiters International. That was in North Ridgeville. So I was traveling from Parma, State Road, close to State and Snow, say that. Okay. Close to State and Snow, all the way to North Ridgeville every day for $1,000 a month. But I'm not picking up on it. Then after I'm starting to pay gas and everything else, I'm like, wait a minute. Now this is September, October of 1999. So I'm there. And after a while I'm there, I realized this is not going to work. You know, I feel like doing something that's worth more than the amount that I'm being paid.
Okay.
And that's because I was fixing computers and everything else. I had learned computers in there. So now I'm this guy's IT guy, basically, I realized. Didn't realize it at first. But I was just excited to have a job.
Right.
So I started looking for jobs. I said, oh, no. I'm going to start looking for a job. And in the paper, back then papers were still in common. People weren't using, Kindles and stuff. There was no such thing as a Kindle. So I'm in the paper, literally, looking help on it and all this stuff. And I see one thing that says, New Horizons Computer Learning Center says, can you teach? And when I was in prison, I was teaching. I was literally teaching people English and Spanish. And it wasn't really, my Spanish wasn't the best. I'm speak Spanglish. But teaching whatever it is that someone wanted to learn about it. It didn't matter. So I had to learn how to speak in public, speak in front of a group of people. I was involved in a program called Heart to Heart program. There was another person who was in prison with me named Felix Muñiz. He came out here and got his PhD. So it's like, people can do stuff.
Right.
Literally. Dude, I was in prison with named Felix Muñiz, came out here and, continued on after his bachelor's degree to get his PhD. What else can you say? So
right.
I was really fortunate that my mom and my sister gave me everything I needed without me having to go out there and think about how I was going to hustle up to get it. Because I didn't want to hustle anything.
Yeah.
I didn't want to put myself in a situation. I knew everyone knows how to hustle.
They provided so that you can build.
So I can build. Oh my God.
Not have to survive.
Thank you, man.
Okay, so now you're at this first job,
yes.
which you're appreciative for. You're so happy, right? Thank you to your mentor. You realize, actually, I think I can do more.
Yes.
Right? Which is a good mindset to have that.
Yeah.
Oh, I can actually do more than what I'm doing now.
Yes.
So you find this new place.
New Horizons Computer Learning Center.
Okay.
I went there. They said, basically, come on in, guys. You're going to do a test teach. A test teach is basically where you stand in front of a group of people and you teach over a subject that you can make up. It doesn't matter what the subject was. They just wanted to see how you presented.
So it's like an interview, like a big elaborate interview.
It's an awesome interview.
Okay.
Me, I've got a lot of bravado in me. Think about it. You want me to talk in front of a group of people?
Yeah.
That's easy. So they said, make up the subject. I started talking about Buddhism. I started talking about the 10 states, from hell all the way up to Buddhahood.
Okay.
So I was just basically teaching them. They recognized that I was maintaining eye contact throughout the room. They recognized, flow. They recognized the tones.
Sure.
The
They can see
tones.
that you're kind of a natural at this.
They recognized that.
Okay.
Yeah. And they hired me. Well, not then. They had to go through a few interview processes. But this is the funny part, dude. You got to remember, I'm making $12,000 a year, right?
Yeah.
I say this jokingly, man, because I don't have memories of everything, dude. But the things I have memories of, these are clear.
Right.
I was only making $12,000 a year at MRI. And they said, sir, how much would you like? Is there an expectation for your pay?
Okay, so they ask you.
Man, I'm thinking I am talking, like...
How was that? Was that very nervous?
No, I was finally going to be able to tell them, I want at least $18,000 a year. That's what I said. And they said, oh, I'm sorry, sir, we'll start at 25. Is that okay?
25,000?
And I said, yeah, I think that's better. Bro, I didn't have a concept of money.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm 27
You're like
years old.
18 more than 12, and they're like, how does 25 sound?
Dude, starting me at 25,000, I'm thinking like, what? I just doubled? Here I am talking about computers. And then while I'm there, they say, hey, would you like to move up? And I told you, my mentor, Donnie Morrow, told me about Novell NetWare. So I knew about Novell NetWare, the network operating system. And they said, we need some Novell teachers. And I said...
Wow.
So
Okay.
I said, okay.
So it's literally exactly what you were learning.
Dude.
Is somehow just immediately becoming
Man,
relevant
look
for
how
you.
lucky I am, man.
Yeah.
I got a family that helps me. I've got situations that just keep on opening up. And I'm not saying that there was anyone out there specifically calling shots. It's just, how did I go to this job? This job needs a Novell trainer now. So I started teaching those courses. So I was moving up from 25 to 30, 35 to 38. And 38 was when, the third year, someone told on me. Someone says, he was in prison.
Okay. So now it's the first time this is starting to come up in your life. Because I know a lot of ex-felons go through this.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So how did that work out for you?
Well, let me just tell you the situation. Ready? Because this is beautiful. I love talking about this part because this is just absolutely crazy in my world. The day now, I want to remind you. This is around the time I'm going through my divorce. Right? Okay. My kids mean more to me than anything in the world. 2 to 4 years old. At the time that we were going through this divorce, I I go to the office. I'm trying to remember how did it happen. Well, either way, the manager said, "Hey," back then everyone called me Jose. I thought Joe was white. I didn't want to be white. I wanted to be pro Puerto Rican.
Okay.
And so I told everyone every time they said, "What is your name?" Jose. Jose.
Yeah.
Jose. Jose.
That's your middle name?
No, my name is Joseph. But you know, in Spanish you pronounce Joseph Jose.
Okay.
So I wanted everybody to know, yeah, I'm Puerto Rican, Jose.
Yeah.
I recognize they look at Puerto Ricans different. I didn't care. I wanted to be different.
Yeah.
You know, think about it. I come out of the joint, and I know a lot of people look down on people. Here I am, all this confidence. Not the confidence that I was in the joint, but just the confidence like, yo, I stand alone. I got my bachelor's degree. I learned computers. Yeah. You know, I know how to talk in front of a group of people.
Confidence.
Earned confidence. Yes. And I'm not saying confidence to fight. I'm talking about confidence to stand alone.
Yeah.
There's a different confidence to stand alone. When you do whatever you do alone, there's a different confidence.
It's not about I can beat anybody else.
It's not about fighting.
I feel confident in who I am.
Yes.
And I can take care of
and
me,
I'm happy
myself,
by me.
my family.
Yes. Yes. I can provide. I can protect. I can, you know, do whatever I need
and
to.
you have love in your life. You're not alone, but you can stand alone.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
So you have this confidence here. They come up, Jose?
And he says, he says, Jose, you mind if I ask you a question? He says, it's going to be completely off the record. And I'm like, oh, what kind of smack is this?
Yeah.
Now, let me remind you, I am me. I am the joking dude. I laugh. I make everyone laugh. Why? Because I used to be like a comic, man. I was last born. I wanted to make people laugh.
Right.
So I was a really good teacher. A really good. Now this is for a private company. The company wasn't like it was a high school, but it was a private company. So they didn't need to know if I had a prison record, but they found out that I did. I shouldn't say prison record. I should say felony.
Yeah.
So they found out, and he said, "Jose, you mind if I ask you a question?" I said, "What's going on?" He says, "Just sit down, sit down." He goes, "Is it true you were in prison?" Man, I said, "Man, you know what the word gift of gab is?
Yeah.
You know what the word code switch is?
Yeah.
I code switch quick. Every time I'm around them, hey, what's going on, guys? How you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, man, we're doing well, man. Oh, man, we want to make sure that we excel in everything we do.
Yeah.
I said, man, for real? You want to ask me about if I was in prison? That got me mad. I got mad.
Okay.
And I said, should I start looking for another job? And he goes, no, it's not like that at all. It's not like that. No, you're doing a great job here. I already knew there was some bullshit.
Okay.
I already knew some bullshit. I told him, I said, yeah. He asked me if I would tell him. I said, yeah, I got nothing to hide. I was like, I never hid anything from the beginning. You guys didn't have it on the application. It didn't say, had you ever been in prison. So why am I going to offer that?
That's right.
So, yeah. So,
okay, so you're noticing that your pay is not going up.
Man,
you're feeling like, hold on.
I'm out.
Everything was fine before.
Yeah.
I felt like there was no issues. Now, although I'm still here, something's different.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what happens next?
I was getting ready to quit, and this one dude came in. I can't remember his name, man. He was a general manager. He came from L.A. He came from L.A., and he was around a lot of Mexican people, so he spoke Spanish. When he found out that I was Puerto Rican, you know, he just started speaking Spanish, but he sounded Mexican. He was like, "Orale," and I was like, "Yo, bro," but he was cool as hell.
Okay.
Man, he was just too cool. I can't say certain things, how cool he was, but, you know, on camera. But
okay, so this is
he helped me.
He's like a higher up?
He's the same guy who pulled me to the office, who asked me. He was no longer there now. He took that role.
Okay, so the first boss's
his replacement. He ended up telling me, I see that they had you at the same number for a while, and I just want to tell you that's not right, man. I don't tell you, and he said, I can tell you why, too. It's just because of your felony. He says, but I'm not going to do that. He says, I think you're worth more than that. He says, so I'm going to take you up immediately to $55,000. Dude, I went from $38,000 to $55,000.
Yeah.
How?
Man.
They were playing me.
They were playing
And he saw the value in me. And you know why? Because 2 years in a row, I won top 10 instructor in the country based on scores.
Okay.
Man, listen, when I'm teaching courses, it's not, okay, everyone, I need you to click on the file menu. Man, I was joking around. Like, yo, I want you to do me a favor. Click, yo, what?
And you're getting people involved, which helps the information, so you're the better teacher.
Yes.
All right, so I want to make a connection here, right?
Sure.
All right, so for those who do not know, our Joe here is the proud owner of a bar, right?
Benny's bar, Benny's.
Right, who I'm a proud patron of, right? And what I've noticed that the people that work for you, you're a phenomenal recruiter. You see value in people that probably other people don't see. And I see that from the way you talk to your team, right?
Thank you.
Just a few times I've noticed, I'm like, oh, he's talking to people differently, right? I think that from all the people that in your past saw the value in you multiple times, not just your family, but like people in college with you, right?
Yes.
And then people in your field. Yeah, there were people who tried to hold you back, but that's everyone deals with that.
Mm-hmm.
And you were lucky enough to find some people who actually saw more in you, and so it seems like you not only appreciate that, but you also pay it forward.
Yes.
And that's why the people that do work for you, you go above and beyond and say, actually, you are capable of more. Mm-hmm. Come work for me, do this, and then later on, you're going to be doing this.
We just became family throughout the years. And then I just did not like my life in the bar world. In 2023, okay, this is where I want to be very careful because I want to make sure to the universe it understands that I do not want to curse my blessings. I do not want to blaspheme my blessings. I don't want to say anything negative about my blessings. But the bar was very, very, very profitable to the point where I have, everything that I have. I'm blessed. My children had private school educations. I didn't take vacations. I didn't do a lot. But all of our needs were met. Sure. All of our needs were met. My kids did not understand food insecurity. But I talked to them. I talked to them about food insecurity. I talked to them about money. I talked to them about checking, writing a check, talked to them about savings, talked to them about credit, debit, talked to them about interest rates. I talked about everything that I thought was going to help them in the future because most of us aren't taught that. We're not, we're just not taught that.
I've met a lot of people my age who I have to tell them about how to have a credit score.
Yeah.
And the importance of it.
Yeah.
And they're still struggling with this basic credit card debt. And it's like...
It's called discipline.
Yes.
Because if you pay your bills on time, you end up obviously reflecting to the banks and so forth, the creditors, you end up reflecting to them to be a more credit-worthy or trustworthy credit.
And so, but that stuff is instilled in us. It's not something. It's not just something innate or natural. Mm-hmm. You were taught that from your mom.
I was taught from my mom.
I was taught from my mom. Mm-hmm. And yes, I learned more afterwards when I went to school because I did go to business school, and so I learned a lot more.
Awesome, bro.
Yeah. But that foundation, that first to got me there, came from my mom.
Yes. Remember, I told you my number one goal is to be a dad. Why? Because I kept on thinking about, if I was in this situation, I would teach my kids this way. If I was in this situation, so what I did was my kids were an experiment. My kids were an experiment. I was not that. I was not, and I would never want to be accused of that dad who bought my kids everything. Could I have? Sure. Why? Because I was frugal. I was so frugal when I first came home in 1999, even though I was only making $1,000 a month. I didn't have any expenses other than light, gas, water, sewer. My sister bought the house for me to stay in. She blessed me. She didn't want me hurt. So the little money that I did make, I did pay the lights, gas, water, sewer. And then when I went on to New Horizons, I was able to pay more. I was able to pay lights, gas, water, sewer, property taxes. I was able to pay everything. Right. And then over the years, I was able to continue saving. So my children's mom and I were blessed because we had my mom and my sister and my family taking care of our kids when she went to work, when I went to work. We had a home in that we didn't have to pay rent. We had to pay all the bills, but we didn't have any rent.
And that's a big part. Yeah,
dude.
You take the blessings, yeah.
Man, listen, I saved. For 5 years, 6 years, I saved.
You're learning the value of money.
Correct.
Very much so.
Yes.
And now you're instilling that into your kids.
Yes.
Even though they don't have to, you don't have to.
No. We would go to the store. I would joke around. Devin and Gabriella, they would joke around with me about this. Devin would take them to Save a Lot. Gabriella and Devin, sorry. And I would say, hey guys, they would look at the Frosted Flakes. Mm-hmm. And they would look at the polar bear. So I said, yo, you want some sugary cereal? Get that polar bear. So they would joke around that kids in school, like, you guys don't have the polar bear cereal? Like, what? No, we got Toucan Sam type stuff, you know? Yeah. I'm like, no. I was trying to teach them it doesn't matter what the name of the box is. If you want a sweet cereal, yeah, of course, there's a slight difference in taste if you're old enough to distinguish the difference. Right. But if you just want something sweet, what does it matter if it's Fruit Loops or Loopy Fruits? You know what I'm saying? You're paying $2 versus $6, you know?
Yeah.
So they learned that, right. You know, and I also taught them when we were going to the store, they would ask, can you buy that? Sure, get that. Put it in the car. When we get to the front, because they had savings. Why? Every time they had a birthday, they had to go on their book and they had to do credit. They had to do debits every time they took out. So when we went to the store, they would say, yeah, get that. So, like, don't forget it's coming out of your savings. And little by little, you would see them taking stuff out. You will see them taking stuff out of the cart. Like, it's okay, I don't need it. So Think about it. Whenever you
your own kids were doing
my
that.
own kids, they were taking me out the car like, not a problem. I said, anything you want, it's coming out of your savings. I wouldn't tell them it's coming out of savings until we went to the cash checkout. So that's when they were like, it's okay, I don't need it. That means they understood the value. They knew that they had something and it would be less to exchange it for this pretend item that they want at this moment.
Yeah.
They're now seeing, maybe I don't need that item.
Yeah.
So you're teaching them something. So I'm proud of that, man. I think the best part I ever did in my life. It wasn't in business. It wasn't in treating people right. It wasn't in any of that. It was being a dad. I think I was a better dad than a human being. I was the best dad than a human being. Better than anything.
Right.
I encouraged them. When they fell, I picked them up. I didn't tell them something like this, you could be the president. I'm not stupid, because, you're going to have the right connection and everything else, but you can do anything you put your mind to.
Yeah.
Now, if president is the way, then that means you're going to have to start meeting a whole lot of people who can put you in the right places.
Yeah.
But we don't have those connections right now.
No, so as a family, maybe your kids.
Yeah, maybe the next one.
Yeah.
But I did tell them that, it all starts off with believing. You got to believe in yourself. You got to be able to stand alone. I used to always tell them all the time. I said, I went to prison because I needed somebody else to accept me. I said, you need to be a standalone person.
Yeah.
Over the years, I'm very appreciative they came back and they told me, they said, thank you, Poppy, I appreciate that, because now I understand what you mean. Yeah. They stand alone very well. They stand alone very well. My daughter will isolate herself. My son, my daughter, I hate to say she'll isolate herself, but she's an introvert. You know what I'm saying? She's okay, but she's okay being alone.
Right.
She doesn't need to sacrifice her morality. I'm assuming she never did, because I've never seen anything bad. But I can see that she values herself enough to choose wisely who she's around and stuff like that. She just graduated from University of Dayton. Real proud of her, Wow. Yeah.
Congratulations.
And she's a brainiac, dude. She's a brainiac, man. I'm telling you. She went into school for marketing and data analytics. And just the conversations we have, man, I'm just like, wow, that's my baby.
Yeah.
That's my baby.
What I look forward to, I understand that when kids start to grow up and you give them the lessons that you can. And yes, I think it is important to talk to elders to kind of guide your life a bit more, because they've been through it. I think regret is the best thing to ask, because that is something that I always talk about.
Do you?
I'll ask people, what do they regret? Awesome. And that's how I'm shaping my life.
Yes.
These are experiences that shaped you growing up, right? From your childhood and going into college and the lessons you taught onto your kids. And now I guess one of the biggest questions I have is, are you proud? Are you happy?
Yes. Dude, I'm extremely happy. And thank you I never have been on a podcast before. I've seen them online. I don't even know what this is going to come out like, I hope.
Sure. I want to edit it because this is long, but
yeah, cut as much shit out as you want, bro.
But primarily the whole reason is that now that we're dads, we make sure that we encourage young dads to make sure that they're involved in their kids' lives. And you're a testament as what's capable by putting your kids first. You can still live a very long, happy, successful life while still being a part of your kids' lives. And that's what our goal is. All of my friends, when they come on, I'm not bringing anyone on. It's dads who are very active in their kids' life, whether they work too much, but they still just want to pay, or they can't work. I have a buddy who has health issues, and he has seizures so often that he cannot work. It's that bad, right? But you know what? And although he might feel a certain way about he's not able to provide for his daughter financially, he gets to spend more time than anyone would.
Time. Hold on, dude, you can't pay for that.
That's right.
That will equal way more than money. Yes, assuming he's giving her good values, spending time.
Every time he calls me, he's like, man, she's doing this. That's all we talk about. So
that's cool.
It don't matter what you can. If it's all about money, it's always just about the time.
Time, man, to hug, dude. Hug your kids.
Yes.
Hug your kids for no reason.
So that's what this show is all about.
Yeah.
It's just encouraging young dads. This is what we need to do. And Joe's a testament here. You can live a long, happy, successful life. Putting your kids first. Dude, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me, bro. I really appreciate it, brother.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
This is Joe, owner of Benny's Bar. Benny's Sports. What's the official?
It's Benny's Sports Bar, but there's really no sports.
They know the deal, bro. You talking Benny's on Google?
Benny's. I'm just going to say Benny's, yeah.
All right. So my name is Ben Nazareth.
Joe.
Now we're dads.
Bro, I told you that. That's one of the reasons why I have no pets. My wife and I, I don't know if I told you my situation there, but I'll catch you up there. But we don't have any pets. We don't have any pets because we know, dogs, they take time.
Yeah.
Cats don't care about you.
But we don't. We just.
That's right.
Man, listen. Cats don't care. Do you have my food? You know.
Yes.
They'll look at you. They'll dog you. You know.
Yeah.
They'll smack you.
They'll
bro.
come cuddle just because they're feeling they want warmth, and then when they don't want it anymore, they leave.
They leave you. They leave you, man. They use you.